Good morning, folks, and welcome. We're on Mildred's ROWE AMI again, 1100 MECH, and what I'll do just quickly, I'll just recap and just talk about the relationship between, I was going to do this in part 2, and just in case I haven't covered everything, let's talk about the relationship between the search unit and, I think it's pissing down, between the search unit and the selector plate, or selector ring as some people call it. Anyway, let's pull the selector ring off the shaft, because it has to come off anyway to be lubricated, and all this needs cleaning really. So basically what we'll do, we'll come off your cunt. There we are. Right. Basically there's your search unit. Let's see if we can come down a bit, because we're a bit out of the way there, you're not going to be able to see. There we are. Right, everybody should have a radio control tripod. Right. And a good supply of farts. Now, how this basically works, for those who don't know, I mean there are those who do know, and I'll do my best to explain it the best I can. Basically, this sits right in front. See if I can get something to hold it on the shaft. Too thick. That'll do. Right. Basically, that sits like that on the machine. We can turn it round so you see the side of it. That sits like that on the machine. And basically, when you select a record, so what we'll do, we'll select, there we go. Now if I hold that like that, it don't matter about that sliding down there for a second. Now if I hold that like that, and I just push the pin out. Is that you, Shaz? No, but can you give us a knock on the way back?
Will do.
Okay, honey. Right, basically we've got a record selected there, which is the B side, and after your record is selected, what'll happen is when you, once you press the buttons, the search unit here at the front will start whizzing round, and that's how it works out what letter and what number you've selected. And what'll happen is, like, we've gone for what, that looks like V9. Yeah, V9 or V6, one of the V5, sorry. We've gone for V5, and what happens is, after the search unit's done its job and searched and found it, the selector ring starts. The open relay on here for the A or the B will actually click, and it'll lock the search unit into place. And basically what happens then, it starts the selector and you just push that other pin in there. What it'll do, it'll make sure all them others are in, what it'll do, it'll start the selector ring, and the selector ring will turn. If we get that to the right height, there we go. And what will happen then, it pulls back, because the selector ring wants to keep going, but it hits the pin stopper here, the stopper here hits the pin, which then opens or closes the switch. I'm not sure which way around, but it will stop the selector ring and start the what it will do, it will start the cam motor here on the mechanism, which starts the play sequence, starts the play cycle, and it works the same way for the push that pin back in. And what happens is then, oh no, I've pushed that pin back out because I've not finished. I forgot to mention something. Right, and basically, oops, we've just jumped, there we are. Basically what happens then is this solenoid here will fire. That's stopped there. Record has been selected, and this solenoid here fire, push the pin back in, and that's how it works. And it works the same way for the A sides, and that's the relationship basically between the search unit and the selector plate. These two components have a very close relationship because they both work together in the machine. And I'll just mention one thing. When you take the selector unit, when you take the selector plate out, make sure, I think I've already said this, but I'll just briefly cover it again. Let's lift you up a bit, because I want to be as thorough as I possibly can on this, because there are going to be people that want to do their own mechs. And make sure that your magazine, some people call it the carousel, others people call it the basket, the correct name is the magazine. Make sure the magazine is on A1. You want the magazine on A1, and if the magazine's on A1, you should have a line. I don't think I'll be able to zoom in on it. I'll try and zoom in on it, but I don't think I'll be able to. Right. So basically, on the selector plate, you have a line. Let's get in position. Which is there. You can just make it out. It's where it says 200. There's a line. It says 200, there's a line, and basically that 200 with that line is like an arrow. Basically that, if I zoom back out, right, that 200 has to line up here with this part of the chassis. It just lines up with this part of the chassis. You have your 200 so that it's facing that part of the chassis here, so it's perfectly level, and then you know you're on A1, so that when you come to take it apart and you put it back together, you know that everything's going to be timed up. I mean, it still will work, you know, it's just that all your records will be in the wrong places. And a lad called Vic has said that he's got one He left a comment saying that he's got one, saying that the selection unit is all screwed up. Does he mean the selection unit or does he mean the search unit? If you could elaborate on that a bit more, Vic, I might be able to help you a bit better. If it's the selection unit that's screwed up and picking out wrong selections, then the reason for that is probably that somebody's had it apart and they've not taken it apart correctly, therefore it won't be assembled correctly. And if that 200 and the arrow isn't lined up, if that 200 and the arrow isn't lined up with there, I'll put it on the chassis and show you. Right, so basically I'll put my glasses back on. So we're just off now. Now we're exactly on 200 there, we're actually at the line. And the line is here. So basically you want this tooth, you put where the line is there, put a tool just on the chassis here, and your tool should just go through. You really want a flat tool, to be honest, but that should just go through that tooth, and we are perfectly lined up. Now if I put, oh, well we were. Now if I push this onto here now, onto the annunciator and onto the gear here that drives this gubbins and the annunciator, this is to do with selecting. Every time you select a record, this drops down a notch. So, you know, you can select so many records and you can keep selecting them, it just won't put the credits on until this has got to, until you know, until this is wound up again, until this is reset. So basically what we can do now, we can push this on and we should feel no resistance. I mean, we will on here because obviously it's dirty. And all we do, hang on, bear with me. Right, we're back. Just had to go and speak to my friend Sharon for a minute. Anyway, always make sure that basically when you push these on, it'll go into that gear there okay, but if it doesn't go into this gear here, just give it a slight jiggle, or even jiggle forget the magazine off the window. There we are. This bench is not really made for this sort of stuff, and all you do, just give it a bit of firm pressure on the solenoids, give it a jiggle and a twist, and it should push into place. It should push into place. Actually, I think that's in place. It actually is. Yeah, that's in. Yeah, that's in place. There. We just slightly. I just had to give it that slight little jiggle in. But the 200 mark there. The 200 mark. The line is actually now pretty much in line with the chassis. You know, we might be a tooth out, I think, but you know, but that's not a problem, because if we're a tooth out, we shouldn't be a tooth out. We should actually be spot on because it is lined up. So we should be spot on, but you know, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. It's as simple as that. The only issue is getting the bloody thing back off, because it's gunged up a bit. Anyway, what we're going to do next, we're going to look at the lubrication of the mechanism. I'll find somewhere to put this. Because my bench isn't really designed for something so big. You know? It really isn't, folks. It's not aimed at something so big. Anyway, what we need to do next, what we need to do now, we need to, I've got a little can of oil here, and I think you just clip the, do you stick something in there or do you clip the top off? I don't fucking know. Because when you buy a can of oil you don't get instructions, you just get the can of oil. I think, let me just take the top off and have a look. I think make sure I don't spill that everywhere. So how far up does that go? Let's find something a bit thinner. Because, right, well, I'm going to clip that there. I'm going to clip it there because I think that's what you do. There we go. I'll leave them out in case I need them. Now we can oil. We can start oiling up and greasing up. Get the top on it level. I don't envisage this oil can. All you do with this is you just give it a few drops. There we are. Whoops. You give it a few drops. I wanted to check that, didn't I, before I oiled it, in case there's a blockage in there, and it probably is, because that oil I only put a little bit and it's not gone anywhere. So let's find something thin. A piece of solder would probably do it. A piece of solder would probably do it. So let's feed this down here. Let's lift that arm out of the way. Right, now I can feed this down here and see if there's a blockage. No, I don't think there is. Go again just to be sure, because I might not be getting around that bend. Yeah, no, I don't think there's a blockage in there. Let's give it a bit more. I might have been a bit too over anxious. There we go. Leave that to disappear down into it. Put that out of the way for a moment. I did have a top for that, but it disappeared. So we'll put that out of the way for a moment and we'll leave that to sort itself out, which it should. Just see, it forms a bubble on the top. There we go. That'll just find its way down. If I take the turntable off, maybe turning the motor might help it. No, it doesn't. Anyway, we can leave the turntable on for now, because in fact actually we'll leave it off, because I'll tell you why, I can grease the fucker, can't I? Right, so I'll get my little grease brush if I can find it. Because things disappear in here, and you wouldn't believe at the rate things disappear in this place. You've got something in your hand 1 minute and it's fucking gone the next. There's my grease brush. Right. So, what we want to do, we want to get our grease. Ew. Instead of putting grease on that, instead of putting oil on that, I'm gonna put a knob of grease on the bottom of it, so that it can, let's just clean it first. Put a knob of grease on the bottom of it. And get that cleaned. I mean, there we go, just wipe whatever that is off it. Wipe that off, whatever that was. And what we'll do, we'll put a blob of grease on the bottom, not that much of a blob, just fill a little hole in there. Like that. So I haven't got a chart for this, for how to lubricate it, so I'm just doing it the way I think it should be done. There we go. And then all I'll do then is just, there we go. That's it. Wipe the top of that. Slip that back into there. There we go. That's it. Perfect. Right, so that's the turntable lubricated. I can move the magazine and lubricate all that, as long as I make sure before I put it back together I set it to A1. So we can actually still. So what we'll do, we'll move I'll move you up, and you can see where I lubricate at the top of the mechanism. There we go. Right, so I need to stand up for this. Right. Put the arm back down, because we're gonna lubricate the arm pivot, but we don't have to do that just yet. Right. What we're gonna do next, we're gonna get some IPA, and we're gonna clean the solenoid plungers, because you're not supposed to oil solenoids. So we're going to clean. I haven't got anything to put any IPA in at this point, so whatever's found its way on that thing will do for now, because I'm not leaving the top off the IPA with this, or with everything like it is on the bench. So basically we just want to clean the solenoid plungers, and let's give this a clean here. I mean, Mildred's already sprayed this with some sort of gunk, but we'll give it a clean and clean it the best we can. Get any grease off anywhere that doesn't need grease, and what we'll do next, we will take our grease, and we would just apply a little bit to these pivot points here. Don't grease the solenoids or oil them. Perfect. A bit of grease on this here, on there. It will find its way around. Put a bit of grease on that point there. A bit on there, 'cause it just saves everything wearing. And in a minute we'll turn the mechanism so we can get some grease on other parts. I prefer to use grease on these parts because it'll stay there longer. Some people say they should be dry, some people say they should be greased. I'm afraid the argument's divided, but I think it should be greased. Oops. So if I now turn the mechanism, there we are, a little bit. I can now get to there. Just make sure there's nothing in the middle of the... There we are, you don't want to get grease. Put a bit of grease on there, that's it. A bit on that, oops. A bit on that roller. I might even drop a bit of oil down that actually. But what we can do next is wind it round a bit. No. A bit more grease on here. Bit of grease on this cam, this quadrant, these gears. Bring that round. Whoops. That's gone too far because I've taken the support off, so I have to remember to hold that. So I'll bring that down. There we are. And there we go. A bit on here, a bit on this roller. This pivot point here. Give that a bit of grease. There we go. Oh, you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing my best to keep it in shot. So you put grease on, it lasts longer, because if I know Mildred, once this has been done, it'll never get done again. Let's just lift that up, there we go. That's it. Wipe a bit of that grease off that. There we go. Put a bit on there. There we go. Go around again. Give that there a clean, because it's got dirt on it. There we are. It's not what I've put on, it was already on there. But if you spot it, you get it off. There we go. Right. I just want to get a bit more grease into these aluminium teeth on this gear, because it helps to preserve the gears, because you can't get these parts now. Right. There we go. There we go. Right, that's the top of the mechanism lubricated. Right, more or less anyway. We've got this block here to do. Might have to take that out to do it. But what we'll move on to next, and we've got the shit. We've got the pivot for the Tonearm to do. But what I want to try and do, I want to try and show you how to lubricate the magazine. That's what I really want to show. So where's the... Right, we have a... Now let's see how this all runs. In! I can move it from A1 because I want to see. Because I want to get some lubricant into there, you see. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this record out, and I'm going to put this record in position A1, and then I don't have to keep standing up to look at it for A1. Then I know where it is. So that's 9. 2, 1, 1, 0, 9, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, C1, D1, E1, that's A1 there. So that's A1. Can I put it through the back? That's V. Oh, it ain't. That's A1. Yep. No, it ain't. That's A1. There we are. So if I move that up to there, going on, my record. We're not quite wound up on the MECH, but the record's actually catching the gripper bow. It's just fully wound. That's it. There you go. So this is A1 here. You lift that's it. Sure, that's A1. That's T, the way they do these. So V and A. So that's V, that's A, that's right. That's right, those there. That's A1. Finally got that sorted out. I don't know why they can't put fucking A1 on it, but they don't. Anyway, let's lift this lever up. And put this back to it. Put this back to it. Position A1. There we are. That's it. I mean, they're never exactly, but that's definitely A1 where the record is. So we know that now. To manually rotate your carousel, sorry, your magazine, even I'm getting it wrong. To manually rotate your magazine, all you do, let's see if I can show you on the screen. No, I'm going to have to just lock that back in. There we go. And we're still on the right one. Right, I'm gonna have to bring you down to show you, because I can't show you too high up. There we are. Now if I can zoom you in, see if I can do this correctly and proficiently in a prescribed manner. Oh, look at that, we're zooming in lovely. Right. Now if I get my pointy stick. Now put the old giglets back on. Now basically you've got a lever here. See that? And what you do, you put your finger on that lever, you move it just like that, and you can then rotate your carousel, your magazine. And I don't think we're in A1 now, I think we've moved out. No, we're not, we're in A1. And that's how you can move, that's how you move your magazine. So you rotate it in manual mode. You know, how you do it by hand. And you have a solenoid under here, which pulls that. And you've got a motor here that drives it, which is your magazine motor. And I don't know whether you can see it here, but there's a gear here. Yeah, you can just, if I just bring you up a smidge. There we are. This gear here, you undo that nut there and that nut there, and what it does, it gives you a bit of play in that gear so that you can centre the magazine and then tighten it. And that's all it is really. I mean, there's not really a lot to this. I mean, I am looking for somewhere to get the oil into the magazine so we can lubricate it, and I think I've found it. Yeah, just going through there. Oops. And what I'll do now, I'll give that a couple of rotations. So what we need to do is you can either push the solenoid or you can push the switch. And we'll rotate that now, and the oil should find its way down the shaft. And I also want to get a bit of grease. There's two big gears behind there and they actually drive. Way. There's two gears down there, and we'll get a bit of lubricant onto those gears. Because one of them's nylon and the other one's metal, I believe. what I can see. Get a bit of grease, just maybe one side of the gears. Just get grease into there. Give that a rotate. So you can either pull it there or push the solenoid. I prefer to just hold it there. There we are, that's lubed up. Yeah, we're lubed up nicely there. Are we on A1? Yeah, we'll just rock it to click it into place so that you're on A1. We'll put a bit of grease on this gear here so that because this is parts, this gear is actually a composite. It's part steel and part nylon. So we'll just get a bit on there, and that way we get a bit on the selector plate as well when the selector plate goes back in. Now this solenoid here we don't have to worry about, and the solenoid for changing the speeds we don't have to worry about because he hasn't got the intermixed turntable. If he ever develops a time, if it ever comes a time where he does decide to fit that, which I doubt, but if ever comes a time when if he ever decides to fit that, then we'll deal with that then. What else can we look at? I need to speak to him about the announcer. I need to speak to him about the annunciator. That doesn't work. Not correctly anyway. There's a pin missing, I believe. And what I need to do, I need to turn the mechanism round so that I can get to the other side. There we go. Right. And this lot here, looking in there, it's like a bloody watch. So what we'll do, we'll get a bit of loads of pivot pins and little gears. So what we'll do, we'll give it all a little bit of a. Tell you what it's like. It's like one of them little toy cars. You know, you used to run them on the floor and used to make a horrible sort of like noise. And all you do is just give them a bit of grease, really. Just give them a bit of a coating, and you know everything will lube up. We'll just give it a turn. That record's a bit too small for this turntable. Oops. There we are. Go around once more. Whoop. I know what it is. There's like a. If I take the record off here. One of the things hadn't been taken out properly. So if we now put the record back into the bow, there we are. That will drop on properly. Let's put it back, bring it back out. There. Well, let's hold that up. I missed the record. That's because it done that. Right, bring that back out. Oh, you can't. No, you can't. It's got to go the other way. So what we'll do, we'll put that back in. No, we can't do that even. So what we'll do, we'll bring and what we'll do, we'll see if that Now it's hitting the back of the record. Oh you fucker. There we are. Let's put the record back into the magazine, back into the gripper. I can turn that, you get quite a bit of a way. Right. Now we should be perfect. There we are. Hold that there, moves away. And that's it. Now we shouldn't be, you know, just need to come back slightly. There we are. Make sure that that gripper's not hitting the record. It ain't. Now, that's the B side. Record gets to the end. Arm comes off. Oops. There we go. Now if we want the A side, move that over. Whoops, get my finger out of the way. There we are. And that's it. We've got a bit too much grease on there, to be honest. Let's take a bit off. Yeah, I think we've overdone that on the grease. Just take a bit off slightly. Yeah, there are these moments where you realise you've overdone it. Because there'll be enough inside the brass bushings. That's it. Yeah, you don't want it. That's perfect now. Yeah, we just had a bit too much in there because you don't want it impeding, and it doesn't. You don't want it binding. That's good. That. Now what we'll do. Oh, you didn't see any of that. We were zoomed in. Sorry about that, folks. Oh, I forgot we were zoomed in. I've just done all that and we've not zoomed, we weren't zoomed in, we were zoomed in. What a bummer. Right, so basically let's take you up a bit. Oops, I said up. There we are. Now let's go through it again. So what we'll do, we'll simulate an A side. So move that over. Bring the record down, move your hand out of the way obviously. There we are. That's the record down and on and off. And then the B side. Oops, let's hold that. There we are. And then bring that back up. There we are. And I think that should be fully that way. That's it. Right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to lubricate the arm mechanism. And that's simple, the arm mechanism just lifts out on these. What you do, you just lift that up there, out of the way. Be careful not to put too much tension on the spring. Just lift it off slightly. That's as dry as a bone. So we'll give it a bit of Not too much, just a little bit in the middle there. That's all it needs, 'cause that's where you're supposed to oil them or grease them. And there we go. That way when you put it back it doesn't squirt grease all over the place. Right, so what we'll do next, put that down there. Pop the lift this up, there we go, put that down. Make sure the Tonearm wires are where they should be, there they are. Now just put it into play. And just wiggle the arm. Make sure we're fully down. Okay. Yeah, we are. Right, let's put a bit of oil. It's on the pivot there. On the gimbal. We'll need a little bit. Just one drop will do. It'll last for many years. One drop will do for many years on these. There we go. And that's all the Tonearm lubricated. Oops. Oh, we've got caught down here now. There we go. Just take that and put that record back up. Take that record off a minute. Because you forget. And that has to go that way. Oh dear. Let's just put that there. Right, because I've gone too far, so which means if I've gone too far, I want to lift this up here. I want to see where. Just lift the turntable off a minute. There we go. There we are, we're caught on that. Yeah, we're hung up on that. So if I pull that back now, which I can't, so it went under there, so if it went under it should come out. Or basically, oh that's it. That's it. If you get caught, if you get that jammed under there folks, just pull it out and it'll release it back to how it should be. Oops. That's how you deal with that. Don't go forcing anything. There's no need to actually force anything. Don't have to force anything on these. Now what we'll do, we'll put the record back on. My record's getting covered in grease and shit. Oh, it's I'm not arsed, it's only Roger Miller. Fucking king of the road, about fucking 10 of the bastards. We'll drop this back. So I want that to come back this way slightly. So I want to put this back onto the gripper ball now. So that it puts the record back. Oh, pardon me. A bit of an involuntary explosion of the snozzer. So bring that back up there we go. That's it. And try again. This time I'm only turning that slow. I like the way it just flings the record on. That's it. And that should be in stop mode. Right. We've got the shaft here to lubricate, but we're not going to do that today because we've got to put the we've got to sort the selection ring out, and is there anything else that needs to be done? Yeah, we've got to change this here. There's another one lurking around on the bench somewhere, I'm not exactly sure, but it's on here somewhere. We've got to change that because that one's got a groove worn into it, so we've got a replacement for that, and then a bastard to go and do and all, if I remember rightly. Anyway, we've got that to do. And what else have we got? We've got the switches to replace, we've got that cam there to replace. I will test all the solenoids. I'm not doing that today, may do it this afternoon, see how I feel. Oh, let's just grease up the gears, put some grease on the gears for the annunciator and stuff, the gears that connect, because we've got a brass gear there. Let's get a bit of, and we've got a brass gear there, and we've got a nylon gear there. It's amazing, isn't it? You know, you can get gears that were made yesterday or 5, maybe 10 years ago, and they're all cracked. Yeah, these gears, weren't they made really well? Because even the nylon ones, they were made really well because they're not cracked. They're a lovely nick. And that's that for now, folks. Let's just give this brush a bit of a wipe so then don't end up with grease everywhere, because that brings us to the end of this particular part in the series. And that's pretty much your lubrication, really, of your, you know, I think there's a blockage in there. There must be, because that oil hasn't gone down. I did feed a piece of solder down there, but I might need to feed some. I might have to take the motor apart and do it, because there's got to be something down there, either that or it's full anyway, which I doubt. But I thought a piece of solder would have fed down there, but clearly not. Let's try again. Lift the arm out of the way. We've got oil there, but I didn't put that much in. I'm going to put a slight curve on that so it goes down with a slight curve, in theory. Right. Well, that solder's really going to stink when I heat it up, because I will use it. Right, well, I think that there's either a blockage one drop of oil. I want to see if it goes down. There we go. Because if it doesn't, I'm going to pull the motor and service it. But yeah, we're not overflowing the top now anyway. I think that's probably going down now. Yeah, it's disappearing, that. Yeah, it's gone. Finally. Must have been the blockage down there. Right, so I'll put the arm back down. All this will need setting up, because that screw there is supposed to hit that plate and it doesn't, so that'll need to be addressed. Yeah, because that goes to ground and acts as a reject if there's no record on it. Reject it. Right. Well, I'm happy with the way that's lubricated up, and just check everything. Yeah. Whoops. When he just slams the fucking record on. That's it. That's fully stopped. Right, this switch here doesn't matter. This solenoid here will get cleaned. That switch, there we go. Magazine switch will get replaced. This shaft here needs lubed, and there's not really much more I can say about it, folks, apart from the fact that we're, you know, we're done really. We've just got to wait for the switches to turn up. When the switches turn up, I can fit them. I can check all the other connections. I can get this mess wired back up. And yeah, find out where that wire came from. In fact, I'm going to try and trace that fucker now. We've got another white one down here. I mean, these all came off. These all go onto the switch, onto the cam switch, obviously. But this white one here with tape round it, I don't know where that went. So and it is white. So it should tell us. It should tell us on the guide where it went. So white. Stops record transfer over turntable. There's supposed to be a white and brown that go together to do that. Yeah, which is them two. Yeah, which will be them two for that. So I don't know where this one came from. I'm going to try and follow it. Right in it. And that's it there. Let's pull it down there. There we go. Let's try and follow it. Just out of interest, see where it goes. And it is there. And it is a white wire, and it goes, I think, well, we get tangled under it and start to fucking lose it. I'm not fucking following that. I'll tell you what I'll do. I've got a feeling where it goes. I've got a feeling it goes over. Probably goes to these wipers here. Somewhere around that region. It could even go to the magazine motor. No, it doesn't, because the magazine was turning. It doesn't go to that. Be interesting to know where it goes actually. But it's just a white on its own. White on its own. White on its own. This is getting hard to read. White it goes to C5, CS5, which is switch C50, CS5. Sorry. That's turntable motor. Magazine interlock during record transfer. Stops record transfer in magazine. Operates inside row reset coil, which is one of these two, the inside set one. I say brown, it could be black. White and blue, what W and B, so white and black go together. I'm just looking at this out of interest. I know where it all goes. I just want to know what about this white wire. See, there's a white there, and the rest of them are all white and something else, white and brown, white and red, white and green. And there's a white just here, and this is the MECH control board. Yeah, that's the mechanism control board, which is here. So I think my white wire goes to this board. Yeah, I think my white one, my mystery wire, I think it goes to, get me meter, because none of them wires are connected up, so there shouldn't really be a connection on them anywhere apart from the other end of the wire. So I'm really determined to see where this wire goes. So we're on contour 2, don't have to really see the meter. Right, so basically I just push that into there. Right, I'll pull the fucking tape off it, can't I? There, I could always put more tape, I could always put a piece of heat shrink on it. Right, now we're on the wire. So let's see. Make sure we're think my thing's faulty, you know. Let's give it a tap. This fucking thing's dirty. That's okay. So where would the white be? It would be down the other side there. Obviously the fucking, there it is. I think it's down that way somewhere. But I can't get to it and I don't want to start pulling wires off. Oh, hang on. I think it's that fucker there. There's a capacitor on this as well. So we might look at changing him. I'm just for shits and giggles really, I want to see how this fucking wire goes. It doesn't go on there. I thought it did, but it obviously doesn't. So doesn't go up some wipers. Ah, it goes to here. It goes to here. Yep. It goes to there. Yep. And that's why it's been disconnected. That's why it's been disconnected, because it goes to there, which then goes to this switch here. Yeah. And this switch isn't used. So that's why that's disconnected. So we'll put the tape back around that so we don't get confused, and we might need to nick the spade off that. So I've lost the tape, I'll put a knot in it. Tie a knot in that one. I knew I'd find out where it went. Determined. Anyway, so that's where we're up to on that, folks. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll call this part 3. I've a bit of an explanation. We've done some lubrication. There's some more to be done, but as and when it goes back together, which will be when the switches turn up. So thank you very much for watching, folks, and more to come later. Bye for now.